Hi, good morning. I'm now unmuted. Good morning. Welcome to today's live stream, light stream, I should say. And just want to get into it very quickly. It's very early in the morning. However, I felt it was appropriate. I was up wandering around just past 4:44 a.m., which is a sign of great guidance. And whenever a lunar cycle starts for me, and I'm just going to share this just to kind of give everyone an insight into how my mind and my madness works. Whenever a lunar cycle starts, I feel an intense psychic pressure that even feeds into like migraines, and that whole lunacy kind of takes over, and I lose this, and so it all has to become this, my heart. um, Essentially, what I'm going to be doing is feeding that into these next few light streams where I kind of pick up on that lunar energy. It happens about 3 days prior, 3 days post, whenever there's lunar activity. My cat's lurking on the ground right now as well, so I'm trying not to let her jump up here, or let him jump up here. I just misgendered my cat. So yeah, a lot of downloads coming through, especially right now. This Aries supermoon, harvest moon, um, which is actually the birthday of both of my pets, came to me on the harvest moon, 1 year apart. So another little tidbit there. But just to jump right into it, lately with these celestial energies and stuff, it's been the grand haul. There's so much happening, and even that I'm stopping to make a video right now is unprecedented because it's like I really have so much on my mind, but this is absolutely necessary, and I am playing some catch up here. There's just so much moving through me that I just need to get it out somewhere. So, quieting our efforts. And also, I won't go into detail because that's also like where we're starting today. We're all doing a lot, and in a world of social media and being like the first one to post this and post that, it's really about the work that you're doing behind the scenes is can be difficult at times because you're not getting that constant validation. You're not getting that constant like push ahead or nod ahead. You have to show up for yourself, and then that's it. That's where it ends. That's the whole payoff. I showed up for myself today. And for some people, yes, that's enough. Momentum's great. But for others, it can be hard. And because we are so, you know, egotistical, not in a negative aspect, but we are the ego incarnate. And sometimes we need a little, you know, you're doing great. Keep going. You know, especially our leaders in the leadership roles. You know, if you're a mother, if you're a father, you know, and you're just constantly putting food on the table, working those jobs, you know, or whatever, what have you. You have a whole team that looks up to you and is that you're responsible for. It's You're not going to get that. Hey, you did a great job every day. So again, be very comfortable with quieting the effort, you know, and moving from that, we also have a bit of luck on our side as of late. But all of that is kind of coming to a head with this supermoon. And so all of those, not that we're not going to be guided and we're going to be thrown, but it's going to be like, okay, we got you here. Now it's time to show that wisdom. It's time to put forth everything that we've helped you to put together. It's time to make it into something. There's been several people that I've been working with, and I'm just super proud of everything that they've been doing as far as putting forth that effort. But definitely being there to help them through that process and to help put those pieces together. And even the people who are helping me put my pieces together and show me what the next step is. I've been very lucky and very fortunate to do that and be that. So it's like moving into this next season, we are going to be more hands on with our own luck. So just be very aware of that. Also, being unconventional, thinking outside of the box. It's time to get back to what works will work. Um, this past, I would say, month or two, that unconventional thinking has helped us to bypass a lot of inconsistencies and like obstacles that have come into our way. It's now time to get back to the tried and true, and get back to basics, so to speak. So that unconventional way of thought is no longer going to serve our highest good. So just get back to, well, this works. Yeah, definitely. Thwarted goals is also a theme that is in the air, ruminating right now. You may feel, and I really put an intensity on may, because what didn't work out wasn't supposed to work out to your benefit. And I'm a huge believer in, I don't know how good it could be until I see how good it can be. And so I never like invest too much into what's being put on me until I let my own intuition kind of push me through into a higher like vantage point of, oh, this is what it can actually be. I couldn't even realize, but now I do realize, and now it's wonderful. Or thank God that didn't go through, because that would have been terrible. So again, looking at thwarted goals through the lens of, there is always going to be another way and a better way. You just have to be patient enough and try not to force your way through. That being said, however, we are also using that same energy as a way of expanding our horizons. So if it's not working and you find yourself stuck, expand your horizons, reach further, open yourself up, and let that ego pass of needing to be in control of how and when it happens, and needing to micromanage every single point. We can move past that. We're expanding right now. Yes, the holidays are right there, and this is why something like this is going to be all the more beneficial as we head into this very chaotic holiday season. September 29th, we are going into the full moon in Aries. This is a very huge opportunity to let go of that need for control. I think a lot of us, myself included, I've sat literally hand to hand combat with my own thoughts recently. And it's very much, I really want to freak out and be like, where is this coming from? How am I going to do this? And then it's like, why am I having these thoughts? I know those answers. So within you, those answers are already there. You've already done the work. Again, that goes back way up to the quiet efforts. You've done the quiet efforts. So it's time to let go of the ego and move beyond your own box of what you're limited by. You have no other choice right now than to let go of that paradigm. It's no longer serving you, all of that yada yada. It's time to live authentically and rise up. Yes, all of those things very much apply here in this super moon, this harvest moon coming September 29th in Aries. Take up your sword, cut that box apart, send it off to recycling. Somebody else needs it. This leads to intellectual reflection in the air, going within, and saying, this is who I really am, and I'm not all the way good, but I'm not all the way bad. I'm just sort of here in this human shape, and I have to be okay with that. This inner reflection, and again, quieting our efforts in an age of social media where everything is so, where's your progress? Where's your progress? Where's your progress? It's very difficult to unplug from all of that. Even away from social media, social gatherings, meetings, everything happening for our professional growth, which we'll get into later. It's happening at such a light speed pace right now. You have all these ideas, you're trying to get them on paper, you're trying to keep it realistic, keep it sizable, keep it digestible, but at the same time, they won't stop coming. All these good ideas. So it's definitely important to kind of remember where your feet are on the ground. You have great potential always, but it's what you have access to in your current reality that that potential will find as a medium to express itself into manifestation. You want a life of abundance, time, freedom, but you got a 9 to 5. You got to be up by 6 to get the kids out the door. Obviously, you're not going to go, later, kids. I'm quitting my job. So you have to find your time freedom between 11 and 12, when you're on your lunch break, do some meditation. So that's, again, it's taking what you have to create those moments, and then those moments will compound into more moments, more moments. And then how do I get more of these moments outside of my constructed life? Well, then you start to deconstruct your life. Maybe you change your work schedule. Maybe you take a drop in responsibilities. You know, start teaching your kids some independence. Easier said than done. I'm not a parent. I wouldn't know. But definitely that inner reflection is begging the artist within you to have some breathing room. I need space. It's Halloween right now, and I think of not Lydia Dietz, but the mom from Beetlejuice. She's like, I will gut this house and I'll express myself, or I'll go mad and I'll take you all with me. There's a voice inside of you now that is very much her and needs to express themselves in a very artistic way. Give them the space. Give yourself the space. Be the artist. Don't just plan. I'm talking to myself too. Don't just plan the monetization, but be with the art. I said I didn't want to get too much into what I've been doing in the background, but I guess one of the best things is I have this chair that I have in prototype that I'm trying to break through into um, reproduction, into production. So I have an engineer friend. Shout out to my engineer friend. And she's always laughed at me because it's like, I can't see it from the logical perspective. I've had to create this thing. She's like, well, you're just an artist. I'm going to say just an artist. She's like, but you're an artist. You have to see it. You have to touch it. You have to feel it. Whereas like an engineer mind, very logical, can can just put it into numbers and there it is. So I very much had to intuitionalize uh, a very basic and then hire somebody outsourced. Anyways, not to get into what I'm doing, but it's so funny because when I brought it to my next meeting with these other engineers, they had the same. They said this thing looks like a beautiful piece of art. But again, it's like I, from sunup to sundown, am David LMT, and then when I'm at home, I'd like to just kind of chill and do my own thing. I had to find that time to let that artist in me breathe. I come from a long line of artists, musicians, just people who love to create and not create for the sake of making money, just create. My grandpa David, used to just strum his guitar and, slice off his lingua, and that's how he spent. His days. So again, and talking about things like that in a very modern social media mindseted world that we live in, it's very difficult to let your artist breathe because now we have all of these subconscious cues to be ahead of media, to be ahead of the status quo, to always be consuming media, to always be consuming, never creating. So I guess that's kind of what the point I'm trying to make is. What are you consuming? And is it taking away from what you're creating? There. I love that. um, so this is going to help in this next era of your life, this next chapter of your life, which is getting beyond your uncertainty of ability. By letting that artist breathe and bringing yourself, you are going to overcome this very, very deep, deep inner trauma where you have been unsure of yourself, sorry, for so long that it's like right as you get to the precipice of success or ascension, you kind of backpedal on purpose just to give yourself the affirmation of, I'm not quite there yet. It's very, very, it's not paralyzing to say, like, it's okay to be in a safe space. If you need a safe space, be there. But eventually, like I said, we have that ego, that box that we're going to use these energies to rip apart. And that's where this inner artist within yourself is being called up to the front. Let it bubble up. Let inspiration come. Find your muse. Do what you have to do to get there. And be there. And be with the art of your life. This will lead to some side effects. One of those side effects is emotional intensity. You may be too much for some people sometimes. All the more so the reason to let that artist out and let that artist breathe is because there needs to be an equilibrium. You need to, before you go and set out to be this artist, you need to find peace with that artist. And the way that we do that is we introduce that artist to the external world and we kind of rock the paradigm, break it apart. And these are times in our lives that we find our friends aren't our friends, or not that they never were, but that certain friends we've just begun to unravel. And in that unraveling, there's no ill will. There's simply, I'm now allowing myself and my inner artist to be, and I've created this friendship or this relationship or this romantic relationship from a place where that artist was kept under lock and key. Now, that's not to say that to be the artist you need to go and be away from everybody. That's a little too romantic. But definitely, you will have to take that time in seclusion. The planets are very much in favor for this right now, specifically Venus's placement in Virgo, and I'll go into that later. But you have to take time away from society at large. The social media, the reels and the scrolls, to really identify the art that you're going to bring and the creation that you're going to present for consumption. Huge. So, moving on, this is all for professional growth. Not money. Professionally, you are growing by allowing your artist to thrive. You will be in a place that has all of the extra breathing room for that inner artist professionally. That's what you're working toward. And it's that real. You love to paint? Well, there's going to be professionalism in your world of painting, or any medium that you choose. There will be a professional space to allow the artistry to just simply exist. And you may be paid for it if you want to be. But professionally, that kind of goes hand in hand. So I don't want to make that the main focal point. Like, yes, you will make money. Will it be millions and millions? Just create. Create for consumption first, and then those who consume will give you that transaction. You know, welcome to the restaurant of potential, where we dine on your ideas. I swear, in the past life, I was the villain. I must have been. I have no idea. This life, I just like, okay, maybe I was too much. So good. Um, so again, with that professional growth being done, this leads into what are we focusing in on the long term. So in the long term, this is inner crisis. This is our world as a planet is in inner crisis and will be for the next 2 years. Um, there's so much disconnect with who we are as creators that we've lost the meaning of who we are as creators. And we've blurred it with the line of ourselves as consumers. There's so much creation involved with consumerism. Capitalism, I mean, it kind of thrives on that, right? As a Capricorn, I am a capitalist. You know, but I'm very much spiritual. I'm very much, you know, let go of my own ego. I realize and recognize symptoms of growth, symptoms of spiritual awakening, enlightenment. I mean, I can discern between enlightenment and my own insanity. Thank goodness, because sometimes I get so bullheaded that it's like, what is he doing? Don't worry, I will be there tomorrow with an answer. Happening in real time, actually. So again, just that inner crisis, that dialogue. Um, your artist and establishing a professional space for the inner artist are going to be key components for bringing that order over the next 2 years. 2 years. Now, that leads us to the longest stretch of thematic celestial wisdom that I'm going to impart today. The next 13 years is all about dissolution of the ego. Now, in 13 years, I'll be like, oh man, I'll be like 50 years old, yeah. And that's when our planet will finally have this grand ascension and grand, like, you know, new way, new path. We'll probably be well into, you know, plans and execution for, you know, safeguarding our own resources here. It's all good. Again, this is an uptrend. We're not talking about just being professional. We're not talking about, you know, dissension into the ego. We are rising up out of it. We are professionally growing. The inner crisis is the kiln that will create us and give us that gloss to shine again as a race or as a species. You know, there's so much giving happening. And I think that's really what this is talking about, is we are moving away from an era of emotional crisis, but a language of emotion, a hierarchy of emotion, because the departure from the introduction to knowledge available in mass via the internet gave way to emotional validation in mass through the internet. So, what is that in a negative sense? Well, during the era of knowledge in mass, it was false information. The whole did you know era. Just it's completely wreaked havoc. And now in this era of emotional fixation is the wrath of the internet, cancel culture, all that stuff. But even now we're moving away from that. We're moving out of that, except for X. But we are moving into an era of what do I have to give? And again, I go back to that topic of allowing your artistry to thrive. That's what you have to give. And taking a step away from yourself as a consumer and find out who you are as a creator. And then again, don't let that become diluted with creation as a result of consumerism. Everybody has a sponsor. don't make don't create just for the sake of gaining capital, because you can do that flipping burgers. You know, do something with meaning. Your life is more than gaining capital. And that's coming from a Capricorn. These planet placements, right now Mars is in Libra. So again, this whole equalization across the board. um, Mars is in Libra, the Sun is in Libra, Mercury's in Libra, and so when we think of Libra, it's one of the air signs, so it's very much higher thinking, higher learning, higher aspirations. When we talk about broadening our horizons, talk about the perfect climate. What better vessel to take you on a journey of 1,000 miles than the element of wind? It's like opening up your sails. Like, it's there. It's there for you, and it's as simple as starting a new journey, learning a new skill. You know, it's all about taking the next step, knowing that the universe has the wind at your back and is ready to guide you there. So, I mean, Tacticianer, Mars, the driving force, the Sun, our planet of communication, technology, and today, I talked about the supermoon in Aries, but that's in 3 days from now. As of today, the moon sits in Libra, or between Pisces and Libra. I'm not sure. But again, that's that inner feminine energy. So it's caring from a place of equal. I care about you all equally. You're all my favorite child. I don't care much for Joe. Oh my god, you know what I'm talking about. That's great. But going back into these other planets, Venus in Virgo. Now, Venus, when we talk about Venus, the tarot card for Venus is the Hermit. Now, the astrological symbolism is this pure virgin, and she's very much, she's untouched. But in tarot, the Hermit is somebody who's been called out to the middle of nowhere, completely disconnected, to simply find, period. And that's the level of cutting it off to allow the inner artist to find their professional place. You'll find that your circles and your groups and, even online, people you're interacting with, it may not be the vibe anymore. And that needs to hold a little more weight when you realize that. There's friends that I miss dearly. But for the sake of not drudging up the past, I keep it at an arm's length. And I'm sure I'm kept at an arm's length for people that don't want to dredge up the past. Because the past, as much as it can catalyze your present reality, sometimes it's just we want to be here in the present and we don't want to be reminded. Yeah, and it's a hard truth, definitely. But it is a truth. So I'm going to close with some cards here. And this first card is the Six of Pentacles. So funny we're talking about the past right now. So I just want to show this card. It's gorgeous. Those three shining coins at the very top. And then there's some other coins in the bottom here that are just sort of rusted, forgotten. It talks about favoritism with ideals, with structures, relationships, but it also speaks to discernment to the degree that we choose who we give our attention to, and we choose who we leave to rust and rot. So, just know that that's not for no reason. We don't just displace ourselves from friends and trusted loved ones for no reason. You see, as there's a tomb or a book sitting above these coins, and that's our wisdom. It's our God-given discernment that I'm talking about. And writing in that book what we have determined to be the important things in our life and what we will walk away from. Again, and we go back to thwarted goals, things that didn't work out. Was there potential at one point? Yes, of course. We wouldn't have given it our energy, our time, our finances, our love. But now there's things more giving that are really working out. So just take a moment and be with that, that it's okay to let some things sit at the wayside and let them rot. That's life. This next card is our Oracle card, so it's more of the soul journey, but I love that it's right in line with what I'm talking about. Forge, don't follow. Pave a new path. Be the leader that you wish you had. And at the very beginning of this, I talked about loving being there for those who need direction, and I love that I'm open to being given direction from my own mentors. There's certain people that I can probably shout out in every video, and it will have some weight. Debbie German. Hey, girl. But it's like, there's some people in my life who have just shown up so much that I will never in my entire life be able to repay them for all of the things that all of the worlds that they have opened up to me. So, I mean, it's just that much. And we see this woman just sort of taking it all in. She's where no other person has ever been before that she knows. She's veered off the path long enough and far enough that the stars aren't even charted where she is. And it's part of this whole new world that's not necessarily just for her, but it's a way that's now found for others to find as well. A little colonialist, but a great allegory nonetheless. So, all of this energy, all of this wonderful potential in the air, there's definitely a place and space for you to grow. And I think the biggest takeaway from today's light stream that I would really love to come back and get some comments or some feedback on is, what do you feel is your calling to create for the simple sake of creation? And outside of consumerism, is there a place for that creation in your life professionally? All right, you guys, this has been a wonderful, wonderful little treat for me. I hope it's been a wonderful treat for you. And as I close, I just want to say, take care of yourselves, get some water, and have a wonderful rest of your week. I will be posting a tarot reading for the actual full moon. And yeah, I'm still doing spiritual life coaching. That's $25 a session. If you want, we do something a little more internalized, a little more deep for you personally. I can definitely soundboard if you have goals, if you have plans that you want to put into action and you're not quite sure. If you're not quite sure of yourself, this is definitely something that you should consider for collaboration. And yeah, consultations are free, so send me a message. All right. I will see you guys soon.